Hello, my name is Rishi Bhatt.
And my name is Sierra Sanderson. We are attorneys at MNK Law, a boutique law firm based in Los Angeles County. At MNK Law, we are more than just lawyers. We're also business advisors.
Today, we're going to talk about a four-letter word. That is a four-letter word that has beguiled and harassed California employers for nearly 2 decades.
So what's the word? It's PAGA. PAGA stands for Private Attorneys General Act of 2014. What is PAGA? To answer that, it's helpful to know a bit of background. In California, employment law is governed by a statute that is known as the Labor Code. The Labor Code is a fairly dense and technical statute that governs the rules and conducts of an employer with respect to their employee-employer relationship.
PAGA is a law that the state of California enacted in 2014 that allows employees to seek preset statutorily set penalties on behalf of the state of California for each employee during each pay period whenever an employer violates one or more requirements of the California Labor Code.
Some common violations include the content of each wage statement, off-the-clock work, overtime, meal and rest break requirements. In this way, you can think of a PAGA claim as sort of a class action.
So what do we mean by on behalf of the state of California? You can think of PAGA in this way. The state, who otherwise has the right to enforce the state's employment law, delegates or appoints employees on behalf of the state to sue employers.
The state does this because it lacks resources to go after each employer in the state. Because a PAGA claim is brought on behalf of the state, any penalties assessed in such an action are distributed between the state of California and the employees, with 75% of the penalties going towards the state and the remaining 25% going towards the employees whose rights were allegedly violated.
How bad are PAGA penalties? Again, PAGA penalties are assessed for each employee during each pay period that a labor code violation occurred, going back 1 year from the date that a PAGA lawsuit was filed.
How much are PAGA penalties? Well, that depends on the precise labor code violation. That being said, PAGA penalties by default are $100 for each initial violation and $200 for each violation thereafter.
The penalties assessed against an employer are cumulative, meaning that the penalties for one violation compound the penalties assessed for another violation. In legal lingo, this means that the penalties are, quote, stacked.
Suppose that an employer has 50 employees and pays its employees twice a month. So we have 26 pay periods in a year. Further, suppose that an employee is disgruntled and brings a PAGA action and says that the employer failed to pay each employee for off-the-clock work that each of these employees performed.
At the very least, we would have 2 potential PAGA claims. One, for failing to pay employees for off-the-clock work that they performed, and derivatively, for inaccurate wage statements.
And so this is where things get tricky. To calculate the penalties, we would have to calculate the penalties for both claims as follows. Now, to simplify things, we're going to use the $100 penalty figure across the board. So Rishi, what does that mean?
First, to calculate the penalties for the first claim, we would have to take 26 pay periods, multiply it by 50 employees, and multiply that for $100 per violation, which leads to a total of $130,000 for off-the-clock work.
Then, for the second claim, we would have 26 pay periods times 50 employees times $100 for a total of $130,000 in penalties.
So the total penalties for these 2 violations alone are $260,000.
As you can see, the PAGA penalties are potentially draconian to a business and will only increase with the number of alleged labor code violations that an employee alleges.
So what to do if you are hit with a PAGA claim? PAGA claims are serious, and we have 2 recommendations for the same. First, get your affairs in order now and conduct an audit of your employment practices to see if you're vulnerable to such a claim now or in the future.
Second, if you are served with a PAGA claim, do not delay and contact defense counsel immediately to begin working out a strategy. Defense counsel can potentially muster arguments to minimize or even in some cases altogether avoid the imposition of PAGA penalties against you. For example, if you act with urgency, there may be the opportunity to cure or fix a violation and possibly reduce your exposure to PAGA penalties.
In conclusion, PAGA is no joke. If you have any questions or require our assistance about PAGA claims, please visit our website at mnklawyers.com or email us at info@mnklawyers.com. We'd be honored to help you.